March 2013, we rolled out the Dudes Brewing Company in Torrance. Segue a little bit back, why is it the Dudes? When I met him, he wanted it to be like beachfront brewing. I just didn't really blow my hair back, and so we decided I wanted something edgier. I wanted something more LA. My thought was, I'm a big Lebowski fan. I'm sure a few other people in the room maybe are, but I thought, well, what about Lebowski brewing? And then, I gave it one pass, past my personal lawyer out of Chicago, and he's like, absolutely not. You'll get your ass sued to the high hilt, so don't even think about it. So, fair enough. And my wife said, well, what about the Dudes? There's three of you. It's myself, the head brewer, and then my business partner on my day job came along. He's kind of a passive investor, more or less. And so we put it together, and we thought very SoCal. I mean, when I moved out to Los Angeles, one of the first things I learned is how to use dude in a sentence in various parts. There's all sorts of ways to use dude. And if you come to Southern California, we have jokes. I used to go to the College World Series in Omaha every year with buddies, and they used to call the SoCal, my business partner, they call him dude because he said dude all the time. And so it's just one of those things that's kind of, and it's got multiple meanings. It's fun. It's, if you're in Texas, dude's a different thing versus, dude in Southern California, and, the dude, Jeff Bridges also brings another thing to it. Real title is The Dude. I actually put that on my card. So it's, and if you can't tell, we're not super intense and super serious about a lot of things. We're serious about making great beer, but we definitely do not take ourselves super serious. A lot of what we do, if you take the time to spin the cans on the back and read the back of our cans, there's lots of cool little quips and things that, hey, at least we find funny, and we hope that other people do too. With what we've done, some funny things with our naming of beers and so on and so forth. I'll talk a little bit about as we go into each individual one. But zipping back forward, so March we got on the market. We were self-distributing, which was a good education for us. It's not easy to do what our friends at Major Brands do. I will attest to that. In terms of selling beer in, having it stick. You think you just make craft beer, and there's this idea that it just goes. It's like you just make it and it'll just go out the door, and it automatically gets on handles, and people drink it, and then they just keep reordering, and it's like it's automated. You just hit it and go, and that's not the case whatsoever. I'll tell you that much. It's like any business that you start up. It's very challenging, and it takes a couple years to make money. And anyone that tells you different, I tell them to send me their business plans, because I love to take a look and figure out where we went wrong. But we self-distributed for about 3 months, and then that was enough. I had enough fun. We signed up with Miller Coors Distribution Network, pretty much 6 different houses. The Reyes Group is one of the largest private distributors, and I think they are the largest in the United States. So we're in there, but that's a big portfolio of a lot of beer, and we're actually currently in the process of changing over to Southern Wine and Spirits in the whole state of California. So that's a little bit about our distribution, the fun we've had. But ever since we started, we always wanted to being from the Midwest, we always wanted to bring our beers back to the Midwest. And I'd say probably around December of last year, I guess a year and a half ago now almost, I knew I couldn't do sales. I've been trying to juggle like construction, a couple kids, a wife, starting a brewery, and things were getting a little chaotic, and I'm not a salesman. I talk about our brand, I'm very good at it, but I pale in comparison to this fast talker to my left. I usually just try to count the half-truths that he throws together in meetings. That's usually some of the fun parts, and sit in sales presentations with him. But no, in all fairness, I'm, like I said, from a small town in Illinois, in Galesburg, and wouldn't you know, randomly, lo and behold, one of my buddies from high school, a girl he dated in high school that was friends with my sister, is a pretty high in the food chain sales at Craft Brewers Alliance in Los Angeles. So I got in contact with her and touched base, and we caught up old times, and she put me in contact with Scott, and I was great because it was the middle of winter, last winter, and everybody knows how freaking cold it was. My dad still lives in Illinois, so I usually get the report on how chilly it was. And so he came out, and I think it was a cool 77, with the breeze. And he had fortunately lived in Southern California before that, So it was a pretty easy recruiting pitch. And since he's been on board, it's been great. Granted, we'll be able to do a lot more effective things as we get distribution aligned a lot better for us in California and then expanding here into Missouri. But we've had a lot of fun throughout the process. So kind of fast forwards us to kind of where we are. Our brew house is pretty much a 30-barrel brew house like Scott talked about. We've got a dedicated mash, lauter. We've got an internal calandria for our kettle, which if you're not familiar with that, it's pretty much, you can have an external calandria so the steam's on the outside of the tank, or an internal where it's on the inside of the tank. Internal calandria, the steam goes up and hits a stainless piece at the top and comes back down and kind of does this whirlpooling and keeping everything boiling in the kettle. So that's kind of how the kettle works on ours. And we've got a dedicated whirlpool. We've got 15 60-barrel fermenters. We filter all our beers. We use a Swiss candle filter that's we use perlite, so that's crushed volcanic rock, so it's it's not diatomaceous earth per se of a lot of different people utilize. We like the perlite because it's a little more natural in what we do. We have a boiler we bought from Ballast Point back in 2012. It had not had many miles on it, and if anyone's familiar with Ballast Point, they've kind of grown out of a lot of things as they've kind of grown and Sculpin's gone nationwide. And we've got a cask canning line. We do about a case a minute cans. We do all 16-ounce cans with everything. People always ask why cans. Cans because for us it's a variety of things. There's the standard answers of light doesn't get to the beer. It's lighter in transport. But for us, a lot of it is frankly, there's a ton of real estate to utilize on a can. I mean, we try to use every square inch of it on our end, on the marketing side, and how we like to market our beer and what we like to talk about on the can. So those things are all different reasons that we use cans. And frankly, a canning line takes a much less footprint and is quite a bit more cost efficient than buying a bottling line. So and storage and everything else. So it just works well for what we for our particular platform. Hopefully, probably never do bottles unless it's going to be some sort of exclusive thing where we're going to hand bottle off some stuff or whatever the case might be. So, trying to think what other features of our brewery. Our tap room is at the front of our brewery, so that's kind of nice. We have a pinpoint carbonator, which is a nice little feature. That's so we don't use Carbstone. We use a pinpoint carbonator on everything, which is always good. And always good because one thing when we did everything, we wanted to set everything up for consistency and good quality. So we're fully automated too. We've got all solenoid valves and a lot of low voltage cabling. And we have a guy that works at the Budweiser plant that gave us the Van Nuys plant that's a subcontractor that did a side job for us to do all our automation, which is killer. So the guys, there's nobody cranking valves on hoses. We've got a blending station that's pretty cool. Really kind of works like your shower, where it takes our hot liquor, our cold liquor, and our ambient, and blends it all in. Pretty much the guy says he wants 152 degrees and go, and everything automatically does everything. And a lot of that's just we want to work smart, not hard. It's safe as much as possible, so no one has to worry about getting scolded with hot water, as long as somebody doesn't push the wrong buttons. But we can even program in different things with the buttons to pop up that say, are you sure you want to do that? So automation for us is all about that quality and consistency. So I'll tap on some of the other stuff as we go through. But another thing for those that gluten, we use Clarity Firm, which is Stone just released a beer called Delicious IPA, and that's the thing that it is. It's Clarity Firm that White Labs utilized. We put in all our beers. It's really not a super expensive enzyme. And we've had folks that were my business partners, little brother's got celiac, different people that have been able to drink it and they don't have the next day, things that can happen if you drink wheat, gluten in your beer. So we don't have it all officially tested. That's on the come, but we've got the tests of people that have done it. And by no means, if you're gluten intolerant, do I recommend you drink the beer if you don't feel comfortable doing that. But we've had some good experiences, and soon to be able to have all that information available on the website, so that really all our beers can be for those gluten sensitive and those not gluten sensitive. So our first beer we got today is Bay Session. It's our latest can that we've rolled out. It's our take on the Session India Pale Ale phenomenon. South Bay is the area, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, that kind of area in LA. It's pretty laid back and beachy is kind of where the name comes from. On the can, we just kind of decided to pretty much put our logo around it, do something a little bit different as opposed to our other ones where we've got different, figurines or different caricatures that are going on. We just rolled out our can. South Bay Session shows the Hermosa Pier, which is in our logo. I say it's Pier Anywhere because we were up in a beer thing. Like, is that the Ventura Pier? I was like, oh, absolutely. It's Pier Anywhere. It could be out on the East Coast for all we care. It's whatever pier. But it's 35 IBUs, so enough to get you a little bit of hops, 5% alcohol. We use about 10 to 12% Maris Otter, so a little bit of specialty, so it's not too, don't have too much of a cereal-y kind of feeling from our two-row. We have a silo that we fill up with 48,000 pounds of two-row malt, kind of our base malt for a lot of things. And there's a couple other specialty malts in it. I'll have to check my phone. Our master brewer just kind of sent me some of the cheat sheets on what's all in there, but a little bit of Abbey for color and texture and whatnot. So easy, smooth drinker. We use Cascades. Cascades are kind of a staple through our IPAs. Belmas, which kind of bring a little bit of a strawberry taste to it, and some Falconer's Flight for the aroma on the nose. Dry hop really all three of those in. And Simcoe on the hot side. We use a lot of hop extract with what we do on the hot side. Hop extract to me is just good science. It's so we don't have to lose a bunch of beer getting soaked up in the whirlpool by the hops or in the kettle, and we get exactly what we want out of that hop, which is what we're looking for, is that good science and the good alphas and good bitterness and so forth. So this is our South Bay Session. So I encourage, if you haven't had it, take a swig now. I'm going to try and wet my palate a touch here.
Any questions, shout them out.
Yep. Sure. Oh, Spicoli. That's from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Spicoli. He's a movie quote for the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yeah. If anything, you'll go home and YouTube it and check it out. You'll get a good laugh. The joke will make sense. Yep. Yep. Really? There shouldn't be any chunks hopefully in the bottom. Oh. Yeah, I was gonna say hopefully not, man. I mean, we filter it through like into a holding tank and then carbonate from there. So I don't want to say anything bad about our host here tonight or anything, but it should be pretty clean and clean through. Yeah, because we filter everything, so that's our deal. For good or for bad, you lose a little bit with filtering, but when we decided to go that route with the perlite, with the candle filter, it was to make brilliant beers. I think really a lot of wineries use them, and Goose Island in the Chicago, not necessarily where Goose gets made in the big plants, Budweiser plants, but at Goose Island in Chicago, they actually have one of the same filters. Yeah. Yeah. And then Grandma's Pecan. It looks like we're pouring Grandma out there. So Grandma is inspired by Abita's pecan beer. It was when I had it out in L.A. Yep.
Before we get to this next one, since everybody doesn't have it yet, can we talk a little bit about your glassware there?
Oh yeah.
How that happened? And you guys ever seen that before? Glassware looks like it's a can.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of our business plan centers around a lot of canned product, packaged product. That's a big part of what we're trying to get, and a lot of it's cross branding with what we do to always have the cans in the foresight, because it's a big part of what our business is. Excuse me. So, one of our marketing guys had showed me this can glass, and I was like, that's perfect. Like, and it's so perfect that people steal them out of our tasting room and think they're gold. I mean, it's brutal what we get, how many glasses we lose, but I hard-headedly refuse to change our glass rubber just because I've committed to it, and I just pretty much say, oh, I'll have to write it off, and it is what it is. Back of our shirts, our work shirts, we have a guy around a can, and through a lot of different things, we utilize our can branding with what we do. Back of the glasses are cool. They got little 4-ounce and 8-ounce dashes, and we do half pints and tasters in our tasting room. Half pint's nice. Someone like my wife that maybe wants to try 2 beers, it's nice to have a half pint, and and then you can have a couple different kinds. So.
Anybody here late? You're allergic to pecans. You want to drink this? It's all right. So there are nuts in the beer.
Yeah, pecans.
You will die.
Has everybody got grandma now? Yeah, so grandma's pecan, like I said, inspired by Abita, but we took our twist on it. We got a few more IBUs than your normal brown. We're I think it's high 20s on IBUs, alcohol 6.2. So we want to give you some bang for your buck. Browns, in my opinion, don't get enough love. Newcastle's out there quite a bit, and then for the most part, you don't see a ton of browns that are out there, and I think it's kind of in my opinion, I always really enjoy browns. It's probably our favorite beer, the favorite beer for me that we make. I got my grandma's pecan watch on tonight too, but yeah, it's a nice, easy, smooth drinker. With all our stuff, we really try to go with mouthfeel on what we do. We use some carafoam and some different things to really, so that I'm not a big fan of drinking a beer and doing the tapping on my tongue. It's easier if it's enjoyable all the way through, a 2 mouthful that we get with the beers, and hopefully grandma kind of shines through with that. She the name is just in fun. We figured that all out, figured it out. We're trying to figure out pecan pie, and what do we want to do and how we want to phrase it, and what about grandma's pecan, and lo and behold, we're actually able to trademark it. Nobody had thought that, but there's plenty of people now stepping on our trademark. But that's our lawyer's problem in San Diego. But we had some fun with it. Our copywriter too. He's a high school friend of one of our other business partners, and he's super witty, and he nailed the back of the can on the first shot. I mean, it's fantastic. It's a good chuckle. Again, I encourage you to look at the back of our cans. Even in our the UPC, we actually we do it in a can and all that other stuff. So a lot of little small details. But you'll have to blame me for being an accountant and enjoying some of the little small things that are out there. But yeah, lots of just specialty malts. I think we use 7 or 8 different specialty malts in this beer. So you should get a lot of texture and a lot of things going on. With any sort of recipes, the more stuff you throw in there, the better. Because our my business partner was a home brewer. A lot of it kind of shines through. Sometimes I've had to peel a little back because we are a for-profit entity. So home brew is great. You can do it at your house. You can put whatever you want in it. And it can be as expensive as all get out. You don't have to give it to anybody else. And you can take as much time as you want when you do it, because normally you're drinking beer and enjoying it. But sometimes that doesn't work in commercial endeavors, so we have to scale it back a little bit, but we don't want to scale it back to where there's nothing there, so we've just had to come with a good compromise on things. But I think still leaving them 7 to 8 specialty malts is plenty fair with what we've got going on. Glaciers, East Kent Goldings, so we use an English yeast on that. So 007 White Labs on Grandma, so a true English yeast. None of our stuff is truly, we're by no means a pure to the GABF guidelines by any stretch. We just try to make good beer that we think is pretty tasty and hope people enjoy it too. So that's a little bit about Grandma. And Scott can tell a good story about Grandma. Yep. Little English style with pecans. Yep. We dry hop them in on the fermentation side. We're working on making a move over to natural extract, just because the dirty pecans are just brutal on our filter process. So, and again, not trying to do artificial, but natural, good science, where we can just dry hop it in on the bright tank side and be done and good to go. So. 30, I think it's like 31 or 29, and so it's a little more. Standard brown's like 22, so it's a little, we try shoot for a little bit more bitterness, kind of that bitter yet sweet, kind of bittersweet, pecan flavor. Yep. We distribute currently in Missouri, the whole state of Missouri, as of earlier this week. And in terms of like actual places in Missouri, I'll let him talk when I finish. But the others in California, Southern California right now, and we're getting ready to cut over to the whole state of California. Yep. Yeah, and we have plans to go. I mean, I'm an Illinois guy, but plans to go to Illinois here soon and whatnot. So Scott had a great relationship with major brands, so we wanted to come here as our first foray into the Midwest. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a small detail. She's got a beer, her dentures in a beer, if you look, you know, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, they're it's on a little side table and whatnot. But we had gone through a couple different artists. Artists, if anyone's an artist, don't take this the wrong way, but artists can be a little finicky, can be somewhat challenging at times. So we had one gentleman that did that art. We've got another person that did the Pecan. The South Bay Session is pretty easy because it's our can wrapped around, and we have a current artist that I actually met because he does all the posters for the Lebowski Fest. And so he's kind of the guy that's been kind of handling things, and he's kind of the artist that's stuck. He's a pretty cool guy, so it's working out good with him.
Seems kind of smooth. I don't know if you guys like this. It seems like it's like kind of builds down. It's like it's lactose.
Yeah, no. A lot of it is just, I think, a lot of the specialty malts we go with on it. I mean, in terms of the technical brewing stuff and how they, you know, the secret sauce and whatnot, I don't have all of that information, but a lot of it, just because we do utilize 7 or 8 specialties on it. And again, we're trying to target kind of that smooth beer with it.
You guys get that from this? Like it's something like this, super creamy.
The double trunk? Oh yeah, question? Carrick? Carafoam, C-A-R-A, Carafoam. Sorry, still a little bit of Galesburg in me. So, last but definitely not least is our double trunk, double IPA. When we started brewing this beer, this sucker was 10.8% alcohol, and it was just a killer. I mean, you couldn't do too many double trunks with it. It's just tough. So we dropped it back to the current state it's in 9.4, which is by no stretch nothing to sneeze at. So it's a big boy. You know, double trunk. It comes from, there's tons of references to hops when it comes to IPAs and double IPAs, and again, it's always trying to find your own lane and where you want to go into. We played off the India part of the pale ales, and it's with our mythical elephant that's got, you know, mythical 2 trunks. And you always try to say, like, what would someone at the bar, like, give me a trunk, you know, or something, you know, as you're naming your different beers. Give me a grandma, give me a session, you know, give me a South Bay, or whatever the case might be. So we try to put a little more marketing kind of thoughts to the different stuff that we do with it. But it's Simcoe on the Simcoe extract that we utilize. We do Cascades, Chinooks, Columbus. So it's a bunch of old school C hops. Nothing wild and crazy, but just makes a nice, good blend of it. We use a little corn sugar to give it a bounce on the dextrose side, so that's how you can pop up the alcohol. So let it ferment out dry. You know, it's a fun beer. You want to have too much fun with that beer because it'll catch up on you because it doesn't taste 9.4. It comes across pretty smooth. Again, a little bit of that's you know, in what we try to do with our beers. Yep. Corn sugar. Yeah. Yeah, corn sugar. But yeah, so it, you know, on the back it's got a good, you know, some good quips and some good fun with it. You know, when we rolled our first 2 cans were double trunk and grandma, and what we tried to do was find a couple lanes to go into, you know, and this does still, you know, this is our best selling can because you could take 4 double trunks home and drink them at home, and you don't have to worry about navigating a motor vehicle versus going to a bar. And of course you can, normally people will pour it in an 8 or 10 ounce pour, and so it's usually you know, so it's, you know, it doesn't turn as much on draft because, you know, thank goodness people don't go and have 4 trunks and try and navigate home. So it's a great beer to take home and have a lot of fun with. You know, we like it. Like I said, it drinks super smooth, and that's what we try to target with everything that we do. We use Cali yeast, 001 yeast on that, Cali ale yeast. It ferments for about 18 to 21 days, so it takes a little bit longer to get through its fermentation with everything that we have going on, and it's it's fun. The details on that can, if you look, there's the little mouse next to the double chunk, and you spin the can, it's spirit drop for a thirsty mouse on the back. So again, some of those kind of small details that are within the cans. Yep. Oh, 104. So as you guys probably learned in beer school, after 100, tongue doesn't feel anything else. So pretty much, yeah, we're numbing you out here. Well, if you look at his eyes are a little bloodshot. Yeah. Drinking its own sauce. So yeah, you'll see these three out there. We've got another also a variety pack that we've got out on the market. It's got another beer that we don't have here tonight, but it's called Colchaletti. It's a play off of June Gloom, which is a phenomenon. I had friends come out from the Midwest in June. The first June I lived out there. We're all going to go to the beach. They were excited to come from the Midwest and thought, California sunshine. Well, guess what? At the beach in June, it's overcast every day in June. They call it June Gloom. The marine layer just comes in and doesn't burn off. And so that phenomenon is known as the coastal eddy. And so we had a fun play off of that with our can. It's a silver and blue can. It's actually going to go into, it's a blonde ale, so it's not a true Kolsch, like the true German pure law Kolsch, not by any stretch. We use some Matuka hops, which are Kiwi hops that we use on the hot side. It's about 31. It's a little hoppier than for a normal Kolsch. And we use quite a bit of Pilsner malt in it, so it's about 20% Pilsner malt. And we use a Kolsch yeast, 029 from White Labs on it. So it's a nice, easy drinker. It's your gateway beer. It's the beer that's getting the guys that are drinking Busch Lights, Miller Lights, Budweisers, and you getting them over to the craft side. It's a nice, easy blonde ale, but with a little hop. And again, it's fun. It's silver and blue. It's going to go in Dodger Stadium, so I think we'll sell a shit ton of it, to be honest with you, just for the sheer fact of being silver and blue. Yep.
Are all your cans going to be 16?
Yep. Yeah, that's the plan. We're looking into, we looked into a little bit into 19.2s, but you got to order a Ball is the only one that does 19.2s. We utilize Crown for our cans, but Ball does 19.2s, and it's one plant. You got to order a full truckload, and that's a lot of big cans. So we haven't done that yet until we know we can sell out a full truckload of it. Well, the blonde is here just only in variety pack. We probably won't bring it on draft, to be honest with you guys. It's just it's the name thing, and not, you guys are savvy beer school folks, but not everybody's going to get our Colchaletti humor that goes with it. But we're going to bring our IPA. It's called California IPA. It's a nice, I think we're in the 60s on IBUs on that. We use Mosaics, are a big feature there. Cascades and Belmas again. We try to utilize some of those. Our Grinning Face Porter, which is our Grinning Face is the Portuguese translation for a coconut. So it's a coconut porter. It's got tons of nice specialty malts in it. Nice, good clean coconut porter. And last but not least, our Juice Box series. And that's all I got to do with fresh fruits and different things. And we do a Juice Box Blood Orange. And it's a amber ale that we use blood orange rind, which will eventually hopefully be going to flavoring, because blood orange rind is a pain in the ass to hand zest, and then it's a pain in the butt in the fermenter. So we'll be changing that up, but for now that's what we've got. And then some chocolate and vanilla bean, so it kind of tastes like an orange creamsicle. So it's a 6.9 on the alcohol, I believe, and it's very popular with the female demographic, and it's Scott's favorite beer. Yeah, the goal is with Grinning Face Porter, because we put on nitro in our tap room. It is smooth and tasty. Juice Box Blood Orange, we've also put on nitro. We experiment with our nitro handle in our tap room. And our tap room is frankly where we've got a 3.5 barrel pilot system also. I forgot to talk about that. So that with 4 7-barrel fermenters. So master brewer and my other business partner, they get to experiment on what they're doing. And if you ever come to LA, we've got our regular tasting room, and then by the end of June, hopefully we'll have 3 others open throughout LA, one in Orange County, and one kind of out in the Inland Empire, and one up in Ventura. And if that all sounds foreign, and you can always look it up on the Google, and all. Pretty much throughout LA, kind of spread out a little bit. Oh yeah. So we've sent you guys over Rarig pub kegs. They're plastic kegs. Plastic sometimes gets a bad rap because there was Pub Kegs of America had some kegs that blew up, and actually, a few people died, and a lot of that was not very good technology. But the guys who were using Rarig pub kegs, it's a local LA company. They've figured it out. They've had no issues with it. And it's cool. It's just another chance for us to use people locally. The guy that made our tap handles, if you haven't seen those, they're bowling pins. He was local, right down the street from us there in Torrance. And we try to do as much as we can on a local level with things. But the pub cake's great because it's light. And we plan on sending 6 barrels really to Missouri because beer market is tough. Sometimes getting a half barrel at places it can be a challenge. A lot of beer bars want as much variety as possible, and 6 barrel allows that flexibility and space. And super light. Plus, Scott used to work at Rarig, so we know that their processes and things are very good, and they have got good integrity with their products. So that was like a nice little easy inside knowledge that we had.